Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So good to speak to you and see you in 3D. I feel like I've followed you for so long. So here we are, like real people.
Sorry, sometimes those DMs sit there for a while and I'm like, I try and get back to everyone, but no apologies.
No, I love it. And you've been busy. You've got the 2 little ones.
Yes,
and you've managed to have them looked after so you can have a bit of you time here on the mic with me.
I know, how rare. Midweek and I'm not chasing after children.
So good. Love that. So for those listening, I have Lisa here and she's a woman who wears many hats. She's a mum of 2, as I said, a successful fashion and lifestyle influencer, a home reno enthusiast and a women's health physio. When I read the women's health physio thing, I was really surprised.
I know. I definitely should lean into that more. Yeah. And I always think, I need to do more with that.
Yeah.
But like time just always escapes me and I never get around to it. Yeah. But yes, I am a physio and then moved into the women's health physio space, and that's what I was doing before this whole world opened up.
So talk to us about that transition. What happened?
It was very accidental and organic and just a very slow moving from one space to the other. So I started a fashion blog in 2012. I just moved home from the UK on a working holiday, and so I hadn't got a new job in Australia yet, and so I was just kind of floating. I was just doing casual physio, and I had a girlfriend that had a fashion blog, and she basically encouraged me to start it so that we could go to events together. And it was just a bit of fun. And I felt I'd always enjoyed fashion, and then I'd obviously moved into the science space at uni, and I just felt like it was a nice way of getting that creative outlet, out of my system. And so I just started it for fun, and it was really fun. We'd take photos of each other, we'd go to events, and it was great. And then just social media just took off. And I was, I guess, in the right place at the right time, and fashion blogs were kind of growing. They were established in Australia, but I definitely got the inspiration for doing it when I was living in the UK, because they were very established in Europe at that time and London where I was living. So I kind of, thought I'd try my hand and had no idea what I was doing, but it was just fun. And then it just grew and grew, and my following grew and grew. And then I went part-time physio, and then I was doing that part-time, and then I went more part-time, and then I went casual physio, and it just, slowly one took over the other.
So when do you think you were full-time Insta, social media?
When did I go full-time? It would have been, I reckon, it was before COVID, so I'm going to say it was 2019-ish that I probably jumped into it full-time. I probably could have jumped into it full-time earlier, but I still liked having my foot in that door doing physio, and then it just got to the point that it made way more sense for me to be doing this. And then COVID happened, and I was a physio that worked in public health, and there just wasn't much, I suppose, motivating me to go back into that space. And then especially when I got pregnant as well, I didn't really want to go back to work in the hospital system while I was pregnant. With COVID, it was just too hard basket.
Yeah. How old are your babies?
So now Fred just turned 4 and my daughter is 2.
Okay, so you were in the thick of it with that COVID time or coming out of COVID?
We started trying when lockdown happened. So we got married on New Year's Eve before. When did we go into lockdown? March. So 3 months. Luckily, we got married 3 months before everything started. And we, in my head, I was like, we'll start trying after our honeymoon. Our honeymoon was supposed to be April in Italy, which obviously got cancelled. So then we were like, we might as well just. I think a lot of people did that in lockdown. A lot of lockdown babies.
You may as well use the most of this time.
Use this spare time. But it did take us a long time to get pregnant. So we didn't get pregnant towards the end of the next year, start of 2021.
Okay, natural.
Yes, it was natural. Yeah, yes.
Had you looked at? For those of those listening who are sort of potentially struggling with conceiving and things, had you looked at other avenues?
Yep, I had done my testing. My husband was literally booked in to do his testing a couple of days after we found out we were pregnant. But my doctor had been really upfront with me and said, after 6 months, why don't we just at least put your name down with some IVF specialists, and you can at least have the conversation. Not saying you need to do it immediately, because they always say give it 12 months. But she's like, I think it would be good just to have those conversations and know what it's about, so that you're not feeling like you're rushing if the point comes, push comes to shove.
Yep.
And I thought that was a really smart thing to do. So that was kind of my next step. Was my husband was getting tested. If that was all normal, then my next step was to get that appointment. But then obviously we found out we were pregnant. And I know sometimes I tell this story and people do find it not offensive, but a little grinding when I say it was when we stopped. I actually was like let's stop looking at the cycles. And I actually closed down the app, stopped looking at the cycles, had a break over Christmas, New Year's, started drinking again. Not that I'm a big drinker, but I had, was not drinking anything. And I just relaxed all my rules, and that's when it happened.
What did the second time look like for you? Easy
enough? Yeah, second time's a funny one.
Yeah.
Because I got pregnant at 7 months postpartum, or 6 months, 6 or 7 months, and it was not planned, but certainly weren't expecting it to happen that quickly. In our heads, we were like, well, we won't, be cautious because it took us so long to get pregnant the first time. We won't not try. Yeah. In my head, I thought it would take at least a few months, but it didn't. And I didn't know I was pregnant because I hadn't had a period back yet. I was still breastfeeding. Not that I thought breastfeeding was a contraception. I knew it wasn't, but I thought I would at least probably have my period back before I would get pregnant again, but I didn't. And it wasn't until my son was just like pushing my boob away, which I thought was really strange because you'd always found it really comforting. Yeah. And I started getting some of the symptoms that I'd had when I got pregnant the first time, which was like really runny noses, like hay fever. And I was like, this is weird. And I just was getting a bit lightheaded and faint while I was exercising. I was like, I better do a pregnancy test just to double check. And I was pregnant.
How far along were you when you?
So when I found out, I think I was already six weeks, maybe 7, on the border of 6 to 7. And then, so we were both in shock. Yeah. But also, as like as shocking as it was also so nice to skip the whole
stressful period.
Stress, anxiety. Oh, I've got my period again.
Yes.
That sadness. So I know a lot of people are like, I can't believe you did 2 under 2 and you got pregnant straight away. I was like, you know what? I wouldn't change it for anything to have avoided all that anxiety that I went through the first time.
100%. Yeah. I want to talk to a recent post which sort of leans in nicely to talking about conceiving and things like that. So something you very recently posted was a life update to explain my absence lately. I'm sharing this in the hope that it helps someone else feel less alone and helps take away even a little of the shame that so often attached to miscarriage. And if you've been here too, and so many of us have, I'm sending you so much love. So with that context, firstly, I want to say I'm so sorry that you experienced what you did. Mm-hmm. Did you, were you intending on trying for a third? What happened? Can you talk us through the journey?
We certainly weren't, we weren't, again, purposely trying. I was very much on the let's go for it. My husband was, I'm really happy with 2. So it certainly wasn't planned. And again, it was a shock when I realised that I think I might be pregnant, and I took the test. So it certainly wasn't something that, we were like, again, looking at the apps and tracking the cycles and trying. But at the same time, it was a dream of mine to have a third child. I'm a third child myself, and I just felt like that completeness in our family. And so I was, really happy about it. But at the same time, it very different to my other 2 pregnancies because it was also a bit, oh my gosh, what have I signed myself up for? Like, obviously I wanted it, but I'm like, at the same time, wow, I already have like a 2 and a 4-year-old. Yep, okay. Can we do this? Yeah. Like, there was certainly a bit of nervousness and anxiety and worry from that perspective as well.
Was the pregnancy any different to the others?
No, it was exactly the same. I started getting started getting my symptoms, same sort of symptoms. Started getting morning sickness, bang on 6 weeks, same as my other 2. Nausea, vomiting, all that fun stuff. So all my pregnancies have so far been the same. And so, I was like, okay, I'm just doing the same thing again. And I'd never experienced a miscarriage before. So I guess I just assumed everything was going to be okay. Obviously that, wasn't meant to be.
At what point did you realise that, hold on, something's not right?
Yeah, so I just started passing some really small clots, not massive ones, but like I had never done that. I had definitely had spotting in my other pregnancies, but I'd never passed like anything that resembled a clot. And I was like, that's unusual for me. And then my morning sickness also eased off, not completely, but a bit, which again wasn't unlike, I wasn't saying like I didn't have morning sickness every single guaranteed day. Like in my previous pregnancy, if I did have like a busy work day or something else was on, I guess I maybe didn't notice it as much.
Yep.
And we were away at the time. We were in Port Douglas. So the heat and the swimming, I in my head I was like, that's, it's making me feel better. But, the clots were a bit concerning. So we were, like I said, we were in Port Douglas. There wasn't a hospital there. I wasn't bleeding profusely. So I just said to my husband, I'm not sure what's going on, but when we get home, the first thing I'm going to do is head into hospital. And I contacted my midwife because I was signed up to do the MGP, the midwifery group, which I'd done with my previous 2 children at the Mercy. And, yeah, they just recommended that I head into hospital just to get checked out. And at that point I was like, I'm assuming this is a miscarriage. I was pretty confident but I'm not entirely sure. And then when I went in and they took my bloods and did an exam and I saw the doctor, she was like, it could be it's almost 50-50 at this point. And then I kind of got my hopes up again. So I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but I was like, I was like really confident that, this wasn't normal. She's like, no, it can actually be completely normal to have like small clots. And I was like, I assumed it was not normal. And then speaking to other friends since this happened that have had miscarriages, they have said that, they had normal pregnancies and plus clots early on. So I think everyone's body's completely different.
Yes.
And you can't just assume anything. And so, went in and did that and they were like, look, we're not sure. It's 50-50 at this point. We've taken a blood test and your pregnancy hormone's still at the higher level that we would expect it to be at this point. But they also said, there is a huge range early on in pregnancy, so it doesn't really indicate much. So we'll get you in for a scan. So I went back in a couple of days later and had the scan, and that's when it was confirmed that it wasn't viable. And at that point, I really hadn't passed anything else. And they basically said it should happen in the next few days, but if it doesn't, that's when we'll get you to come back in and either do surgery or give you some medication to help your body pass it. But literally, as they said, a couple of days after I had that scan, my body started passing it.
Was there such a shock factor, or it sounds like you'd almost started wording yourself up that, hold on, things might not be.
Yeah, it wasn't a shock because I had just felt like that it wasn't normal, but it was still, to have that finality of that answer was still like a big thing. And obviously I was super emotional about it. Called my husband, told him, we obviously had a big cry and just let it all out. I think I had been holding it all in up until that point. I guess, you just process it as best you can. But I think having 2 children is just, you kind of just got to get back on the horse, kind of, you know what I mean?
The distractions are real, right?
Yeah, really.
I mean, respectfully, because obviously there's an element of you're still processing, but exactly, at least, you've got these beautiful joys in front of you and you're like, I've got a lot, in my life, I guess. But I'm curious from your perspective, were you hesitant to share it on social media? What was the decision point?
Yeah, I don't know if I was hesitant. I hadn't really thought about it until I had the answer. And then I just felt like I needed to because I'd been really quiet.
Yeah.
It's like I was in Port Douglas and I was like sharing all these bikini shots and like these are my outfits and this is what, and then like it was like nothing for 5 or 6 days. And I just kind of felt ingenuine if I kind of went back to posting normal content like life was normal, because to me life just didn't feel normal. And I don't share everything online. I share a good proportion, but like majority of my content is fashion, lifestyle. I do try and keep to those pillars. At the same time, there's a bit of, motherhood trickled in there, of course, but I don't try and share anything too personal. But that just didn't feel personal, like in that it was an invasion of my privacy or anything. I didn't feel like that. I felt like it was something that would help me process it by sharing it. And I spoke to my husband and he was of the opinion that he wanted to keep it private. And so we had a bit of a discussion about it. And I just said, look, this is actually really common. It happens all the time. And I feel like kind of sharing it's making it into this huge thing. And not sharing it is making it feel bigger. And I just was like, I think it would just really help me process.
Yep.
And it has, because I had so many women reach out to me, both on my post for those that were happy to share their stories and also privately. So many privately who were like, oh, I still haven't, shared this with people beyond my, immediate family. And, thank you. Not that it was about me, but it was just nice having that solidarity. I got a lot of comfort from a lot of women, especially women that have had children before. And I think that's what I felt like. I hadn't seen that much of people saying, I feel like it tends to be more when people are trying, you hear about it. Yeah. I hadn't really seen much about when people have already had children and then it happens to them. And I had a lot of mums reach out saying very similar, had very uncomplicated pregnancies, 1 or 2, and then had this, and it's, and I found a lot of comfort in that.
Yes.
A lot of solidarity, and it just as soon as I posted it, I just felt a weight lifted off my shoulder, and I immediately felt better.
Yes.
And it just, so it was definitely a good thing. And my husband was like, that's fine, like I totally support you if you want to be open with it.
And then I guess that's the joy of like social media, right?
You're exactly.
There,
Sometimes and someone said to me after I shared it, they're like, sometimes, who's also in the industry, she said to me, sometimes, we're wondering, what are we doing? What is this like hamster wheel we've found ourselves on? And then you do something like that and you realise, this is why this exists and this is why we do it.
Yes.
Because it was just amazing.
It's like that community rallies.
100%. And I felt so supported by the community.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing. I so get that. And I hear that a lot from guests of mine as well. They're like, as soon as we put things out there, just to know that people rally is just everything. Do you think that there is an element that we're not, in sort of your experience in general, that isn't spoken enough about? Or do you think we're getting to a point now where we can more comfortably have these conversations?
I'm hoping we're getting to the point where it's more comfortable. I would like to think, again, that's one benefit of social media that maybe wasn't happening 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And so I certainly think it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I hear
you. In
that
openness.
Yes.
Yeah, there's still a long way to go, but it's definitely going that way.
Yeah, agree. Obviously, you're still in the midst of processing everything and working through everything. When you reflect, and maybe this is too early to ask the question, but I'll ask it anyway, when you reflect on that journey, when you reflect on your family now, when you reflect on perhaps what more you might want, i.e., do we try for another, what comes to mind? How do you think the experience has sort of changed you?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think I'm still processing. And we're both still just getting our head around it because, it's a strange thing, and I think this is what maybe surprised me with pregnancy loss was that you feel like you're like halfway into like a road trip, and then you get sent back, and you're like, no, that lane's not available anymore, and that destination's not, and it's just trying to wrap your head around. Okay, so that's where my life was heading. And now it's heading this way. And just like trying to wrap your head around that concept, it's like I feel like my whole life's kind of been rerouted. And I'm just still trying to grapple with that and, process that maybe, I don't know. I don't know what's in our future. Yeah. Really unsure.
Yeah,
I'm
which
not
is
sure.
So fair and so honest, right?
I don't know. We'll see. I think it's still all fresh and happening, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, I hear you.
TBC.
Yeah. One final question I ask all of my guests: how has parenthood changed you as a person?
Oh, this is a good one. How has parenthood changed me? I think that I always wanted to be a mother. I'd never really thought about if I would be particularly good at it or not. And I think parenthood has really taught me to lean into my strengths. And I think me and my husband, we're a bit of a team in that regards, and we have different strengths in different areas. But I certainly feel like I'm way more confident in what I'm good at, if that makes sense. So I feel like I'm good. I'm good at staying calm and I'm good at dealing with the chaos and keeping a level head. And I feel like I really lean into that now as a mum.
Yeah.
And I really lean into my strengths of being patient. And I don't know if that was a strength I even knew I had really. But just the leaning into what I know I'm good at. And I think also they just change your whole life really. You're still your old self, obviously, but it's an improved version of your old self. And it's an improved version of your old life as well. And me and my husband always say that. We say, yeah, it's hard and shit's hitting the fan and there's crap everywhere and the house is never clean, but God, we wouldn't change it for the world. Like this life is so much more fulfilling than what it was before, and it's a beautiful chaos. Yeah.
I love that. At least you got chills as you said that. That was so beautifully said. What's next for you, Lisa?
Yeah, don't know.
Yeah.
I think at the moment it's just taking it easy.
Yes.
It's been like it's been a tricky process just because I am self-employed, so I don't get, sick leave, personal leave. So just navigating that has been a little bit tricky. But in saying that, like all of my clients have been wonderful, wonderful. So if you're on my page and you see any sponsored posts, those are the clients. They've all been amazing. Like they've all been so graceful and letting me extend deadlines and giving me space and time. Not that you would expect anything less, but I guess you just don't know. And also I'm self-managed, so I don't have that buffer of an agent who's like dealing with all of that for me. And to be honest, I've loved being self-managed, but probably this period I was like, I really just would have loved to have handballed this to a manager just to deal with all this. But in saying that, my clients have been really understanding, and I think now I'm just trying to like kind of play catch up with a lot of work that I kind of postponed. So at the moment it's just trying to get that work-life balance back. As it was previously, which is, not the ideal time of year to be doing that heading into Christmas because, as you know, it's just a crazy time of year. But so I just want to try and get, all those jobs that I've postponed back, in line again. And then hopefully like 2026 just like will be just a nice bit of a clean slate, fresh start, and we'll see. I've got ideas. Like I said, I would like to lean more into the women's health, physio. Like I've got these skills and these learnings that, I went to uni for 4 years, then I did a postgrad in women's health and worked in the area for so long. I feel like there's something I can do with that.
Watch this space.
I don't know. I'm constantly like, should I do this? I don't know. I'm always changing my mind. And I think now that the kids are a little bit bigger, I might have a little bit more time. Next year they'll be in 3 and 4 year old kinder. So I'll just have that little bit more time to just kind of, okay, do I want to do something with those skills and what can I do with them? And
watch this space, as I said.
Watch this space. We'll
Lisa,
see.
thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you for having me. It was a really lovely chat. Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh my God, I'm so proud.